Hello YouTube, Sir Dragon X here. I'm sitting here in my Mexican vehicle. We're getting ready to drive to the beautiful city of Queretaro. Today, we're going to discuss whether you can bring your vehicle with you and exactly how to do it. In the video, coming up next. Welcome back to Retired Life in Mexico, where not only do we go over procedures and facts, but we also present you with the true reality. Before we start, I want to thank everyone for your support. Thanks to you, I've reached almost 200 subscribers and over 2,000 views in less than 2 weeks. I never in my wildest dreams thought that this hobby would take off like this. This is my inspiration to keep moving forward with this project. Please feel free to share the link to our channel with one of your friends and encourage them to subscribe, and let's keep growing together. Also, if you already haven't, don't forget to subscribe. Like this video if you enjoyed the content, and make comments in the comment section below and let me know how I'm doing. It helps me spread the word and also reach more people here on YouTube. Oh, and just another reminder, you can find us at our newly formed Facebook group and on Instagram at the links listed in the description of this video, as well as our channel. Now let's get to the topic at hand. As in all my videos, I stress that I'm not an expert. What I can say is that in my former work life, I come from a customs and immigration background. I still maintain some of my old contacts within the Mexican government. I must stress again that every experience is different, and each port of entry is different and has different procedures. So, can you bring your vehicle with you when you move to Mexico? Well, the answer is, you got it, my famous answer of, it depends. That's right, it depends, and I'm going to explain who can and how you can bring your vehicle if you qualify. So how do I bring my vehicle with me? Well, you must obtain a temporary import permit, also known as a TIP, from Mexican Custom, also known as SAT. This permit can be obtained online 10 to 30 days prior to your trip, which I do not advise, or at the border when you enter Mexico. You must pay an import fee of $44 US plus tax, and you must leave a deposit on your credit card. The deposit depends on which year your vehicle is manufactured in. You must leave a deposit of $400 if your vehicle was manufactured between 2007 and the present. You must leave a $300 deposit for vehicles manufactured between 2001 and 2006. And last but not least, you must leave a $200 deposit for vehicles older than 2001. Note, you must return your tip to Mexican Customs prior to the date of expiration of the tip, or your deposit will be forfeited. Once you return your tip, your deposit will be refunded to your credit card. Also, what's important to note, if your tip is expired, or you turned in your tip and your vehicle is still in Mexico, your vehicle can be seized and forfeited by the Mexican government. Why not online, you ask? Well, because you must stop by the border anyways to check in at immigration to get your FMM. And it'll only take a small portion of your time to walk over to the customs booth and obtain one upon entering. Currently, there have been issues with the online permits when being stopped by the federal police, since the system is not robust enough yet. The federal police have an application on their phone to verify your permit, and it will sometimes not come up if you did it online, or it will not show when you entered. So they considered the car has been in the country since your application date instead of when you enter. The time saved doing it online is not worth the risk, but that is your choice. First, let's start on who can bring in a foreign plated vehicle and obtain a tip. A person coming in and applying for a tourist visa, also known as an FMM. Under this category, you can obtain a tip for a maximum of 180 days or for the duration of your FMM. A person coming in on a pre-approved temporary resident consulate visa who is going to apply for residency. No, you will receive an FMM also, but it's got a different box check. You can only obtain a tip for the 30 days that is given to you to report to immigration so you can apply for status. Now, once your status is approved, or if for some reason your status takes more than a month to process, you must go to the closest customs office located at any international airport and renew your temporary import permit. And last but not least, a person who holds a temporary resident card. You can apply for a tip for the duration of your residency. Now, if you renew your temporary residency, you must renew your tip at the closest customs office located at any international airport or international bridge before the expiration date of your residency with proof from INM that you are renewing your status. Now, let's go over who cannot apply for a tip. A person who has no legal status to be in Mexico, of course, a Mexican citizen, and last but not least, a permanent resident. Now, what's the process for obtaining a tip? You must meet one of the following when applying. The vehicle must be registered in your name or that of your spouse, child, or parent. You must present the original vehicle registration along with proof of relationship to the registered vehicle owner, such as a marriage certificate or birth certificates. Also, you must provide a simple copy of each of these documents I just mentioned. At some ports, they actually offer the service of being able to make copies. If your car is leased, you must provide a copy of the lease agreement in your name along with a letter of the leasing company authorizing temporary importation of the vehicle. In some cases, if your vehicle has a lien on it, they will ask for a letter from your creditor authorizing you to take your vehicle out of the country. Before living in Mexico, we used to go back and forth all the time and apply for tips. Not once did they ask me for a letter from my creditor, but I do know people that they have been asked. So, it's better safe than sorry to get that letter. Once you present these documents to Mexican Customs, they will review them and then send you over to a booth run by Banjército to pay the import fee and the deposit. They will then give you your tip, and it's that simple. This tip must be kept in your vehicle at all times and presented to Mexican authorities when requested. Also, the vehicle must always have a Mexican car insurance coverage while in Mexico. Now, there are some exceptions to the tip requirement. You don't need a tip if you stay within 22 miles of the border, you stay within the Baja California Peninsula, in Sonora, unless you're driving more than 98 kilometers of Mexican Federal Highway 15. Also, in the state of Quintana Roo, where Cancun is located, a tip is not required. Now here's the catch. You have to drive your car there, so you will need to get a tip in order to get your car there. Now, I only have one more thing to cover. Who can drive the vehicle with the tip? The tip holder, of course, and immediate family, to include your spouse, children, siblings, and parents, given that they have some sort of legal status here in Mexico. A Mexican citizen or permanent resident third party, not immediate family, if the tip holder is present in the vehicle. There's a little catch to this though. Mexican law explicitly states that a Mexican citizen and a person holding permanent residency cannot, and I repeat, cannot drive a foreign-plated vehicle. This law was passed because many Mexican citizens and permanent residents were abusing the system and purchasing vehicles in the United States. So, you may be asking, but some of my immediate family that qualify to drive the vehicle with a tip are Mexican citizens or permanent residents. You even said that a third-party Mexican citizen or permanent resident can drive as long as the tip holder is in the car. Well, Here's another it depends answer, and I'm going to answer it coming from my customs background. Under Mexican customs regulations, yes, they can drive your vehicle. These exceptions, though, are administrative customs regulations, not Mexican law. So there can technically be an argument that the exception does not count. Also, the federal police, as well as a majority of local police, do not have a customs background. So to them, you're breaking the law. I can vouch that probably 90% of law enforcement in Mexico is unaware of these exceptions. Therefore, I suggest that not only do you carry your tip in your car with you, but you also carry a copy of the tip regulations. These regulations list the exceptions and come straight from the Mexican Customs website. I will be leaving a link in the description of the video. Now, if you get stopped by the police, normally in my experience, when we used to travel a lot on a tip, they rarely used to ask for my tip. And to be honest with you, they never really asked me for my ID. Now, I have encountered checkpoints that they check my vehicle documentation, but rarely did they ask any further questions. Now, in the rare case that you do have a confrontation with law enforcement regarding your tip, and it becomes an issue that a person driving is a permanent resident or Mexican citizen, you need to be as polite as possible. If the person driving is qualified to drive under the tip regulations, kindly present both the tip and the copy of the regulations that you printed out. Do not, and I repeat, do not under any circumstance get confrontational with law enforcement, because technically under Mexican law they can still confiscate your vehicle. It's important to know that even though customs regulations are law, federal law supersedes customs administrative regulation. So police can argue that the customs regulations do not count and confiscate your vehicle. I actually personally know of several cases and stories told to me personally about foreigners who copped an attitude and lost their vehicle regardless. Bottom line, if you need to argue the point, do it as politically correct as possible, because you do risk losing your vehicle with no recourse to get it back. And if you're polite, I am almost positive that the police officer will let you go. Remember in the last video that I mentioned that I started with temporary residency because I wanted to bring my US plated vehicle? Well, I saw this issue come up in a Facebook group discussion. An American couple were coming to live in Mexico and they had a US plated vehicle. So one applied for permanent residency and the other applied for temporary residency in order to bring their car. Supposedly this is very common. Let's just say it was a very heated discussion. Well, since my wife is a Mexican citizen, I decided to look into this further. So I contacted one of my old Mexican customs contacts. He told me what I just finished explaining to you, and went on further to explain that the regulations were actually intended for people obtaining tourist FMMs and visiting family in Mexico. But these regulations have been loosely interpreted by foreigners to include temporary residents. So we decided not to risk it. We sold our US vehicles and bought a Mexican vehicle. But that was our personal choice that we made. But unfortunately, I was already in the process for temporary residency. That's another reason why I say research is key. Hope this was informative, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video if you enjoy it, and comment on this video. I would really love to hear from you. That's right, folks. I finally made it to Queretaro. Right behind me is the actual house where they initiated the conspiracy for Mexico's independence from Spain in 1810. The war lasted for 11 years and actually ended on September 27, 1821. Fun fact, this house actually served as a jail up until 35 years ago. Now enough of the formalities, let's explore the historical central of Querétaro.